In my village, the veneration of women and the scorn of men had become an entrenched custom. The most beautiful girls were called Paper Maidens. They never had to lift a finger, pampered from childhood like daughters of the wealthy. But me, malnourished and painfully thin, I was constantly ostracized and ridiculed by those Paper Maidens. They didn't know, though, that the more beautiful a girl, the higher the price for the paper made from her body. "Are you dead? How dare you make your older sister work?" Grandma snatched the plate from Kieu Kieu's hand and slapped Giai Giai squarely across the cheek. "Carrying food is a coarse chore, and you let asterisk her do it. What if her hands got burned?" Grandma glared at Giai Giai, then carefully took Kieu Kieu's fingers in her wrinkled hands, her eyes filled with doting affection, and gently blew on them. Kieu Kieu shook her head, looking at Giai Giai with remorse. Giai Giai numbly rubbed her cheek and went to carry the food. The house was always laden with plates of meat and fish. Half of it was Kieu Kieu's portion. Giai Giai held a corn cake and a bowl of watery porridge, huddling in a corner of the house. Outsiders said our village revered women and scorned men, cherishing daughters like treasures. Only Giai Giai knew they only cherished beautiful girls. Kieu Kieu and Giai Giai were twins. Kieu Kieu was breathtakingly beautiful, with skin as fair as jade, always radiating a graceful aura. Giai Giai, on the other hand, had a sallow, gaunt, emaciated face. The dining table was piled high with food, and half of the delicious dishes were reserved for Kieu Kieu. Giai Giai swallowed hard, watching the bowl of creamy white fish soup in Kieu Kieu's hand. Suddenly, Grandma grabbed a bamboo cane and whipped Giai Giai. "What are you staring at? Go prepare the offerings for the paper goddess. What good is keeping a useless thing like you around? All you do is eat." The immortal paper in the village was worth a fortune. This type of paper was smooth and exquisite, and paintings on it would last for 1,000 years without fading. It was said that if an offering of a prosperity painting made from immortal paper was presented during the ritual, the family would prosper and be wealthy for generations. The secret to making immortal paper lay in worshipping the paper goddess. Only girls accepted by her were deemed worthy to craft it. All girls in the village who turned 10 had to go to the paper goddess's temple and drip blood from their fingertips onto her portrait. If the drop of blood soaked into the paper, it meant she had been chosen. Giai Giai was afraid of pain. When it was her turn to give blood, she used chicken blood that Kieu Kieu had given her. The drop of blood just sat on the paper's surface, refusing to soak in. And so, Giai Giai became the only girl in the village not recognized by the paper goddess. Later, she learned it was the chicken blood Kieu Kieu had given her. Giai Giai didn't blame her sister. Without her, she wouldn't have been able to go to school. The girls chosen by the paper goddess were called Paper Maidens. They didn't need to work, pampered from childhood into adulthood. Kieu Kieu was the most beautiful paper maiden in the village. Everyone praised Giai Giai's family for their great fortune. Since becoming a paper maiden, Kieu Kieu bathed in milk and applied body cream daily to maintain her smooth, fair skin. For this reason, paper maidens were forbidden from sun exposure or going outside. They stayed confined to their rooms until they came of age, then entered the paper goddess's temple to begin crafting the immortal paper. Each day, a paper maiden had to burn incense and worship the paper goddess. Since Kieu Kieu couldn't leave the house, this task fell to Giai Giai. The offering for the paper goddess was a piece of raw meat. Kieu Kieu cut her fingertip, dripped blood onto the meat, and Giai Giai carried it to the temple. It was the scorching summer, the midday sun burning like fire, and the offering was not allowed to be exposed to sunlight. Giai Giai clutched the dark red wooden box containing the offerings and walked along the village path. Her stomach gnawed with hunger, her head spun, and her arms, clutching the box, began to ache with fatigue. She couldn't hold on. She stumbled, and the box flew from her hands. The offering rolled on the ground, covered in mud, utterly defiled. "Oh no," she thought. "If Grandma finds out I've dirtied the offering, she'll beat me to death with that bamboo cane." The night Giai Giai wasn't chosen by the paper goddess, Grandma had tied her to a beam, furiously whipping her. "Useless thing, such a waste of good meat. We fed you well, kept you warm, and now you're trash. Your mother was useless, and you're just like her." Luckily, Kieu Kieu intervened in time. "Let Giai Giai go to school, Grandma. Let her study hard and get into university. Then she can find an educated daughter-in-law for older brother or marry into another village to get him a wife." Grandma hesitated. Men in the village weren't allowed to marry paper maidens, they had to marry women from outside. Other villages knew our village was wealthy from selling immortal paper, so they demanded double the bride price. To ensure the village men could marry, every family valued their paper maidens highly. Kieu Kieu was the most beautiful paper maiden ever chosen by the paper goddess. After her blood offering, the incense stick burned into the shape of a lotus flower, and beautiful blood-red characters appeared on the painting. The village chief was overjoyed. For all these years, this was the first paper maiden whose beauty the paper goddess had recognized. He took Grandma's hand, smiling suggestively. "Grandma Chin, your family has an immortal." Grandma threw the bamboo cane aside and spat on Giai Giai. After that beating, Giai Giai fell seriously ill. Grandma forbade her from eating meat, and even when she secretly ate, Kieu Kieu scolded her. Gradually, Giai Giai grew thinner, her appearance deteriorating day by day. Giai Giai glanced around frantically. There was no one. Seizing the moment, she quickly washed the offering clean in the field, bit her finger until it bled, dripped a drop of blood onto it, and placed it in the wooden box. Then she carried it to the paper goddess's temple. As she stepped into the temple, a cool air enveloped her. Inside hung a painting, 1 meter long and 5 feet wide. The ancient beauty admiring flowers in the painting was none other than the paper goddess. Giai Giai carefully placed the offering and began to light incense and worship. The incense used for the paper goddess was specially made, dark red, emitting a medicinal herbal scent. Each time she finished burning incense, Giai Giai had to seal the temple doors, stand under the large pagoda tree outside for an hour, and only then was she allowed to retrieve the offering tray. Every time, the tray was empty. This midday was unusually hot. After burning the incense, Giai Giai didn't leave. Instead, she sneaked around to the back of the temple. Waiting was waiting, whether inside or outside the temple, and it was cooler behind it. In the scorching midday sun, Giai Giai felt a chill run down her spine. The faint herbal scent lingered in her nostrils. She leaned against a pillar and closed her eyes. In her drowsy state, she heard a crunching sound. Lao zao, lao zao. The sound faded, and an icy hand caressed her cheek. She wanted to struggle, but couldn't open her eyes. The cold fingers explored her face, from her eyebrows down her nose, from her mouth up to her eyes, like a curious infant discovering each feature. A perfect offering. The hand withdrew. Giai Giai rubbed her eyes and saw several people dressed in long black robes heading towards the back of the temple. "Hey!" she called, but they seemed not to hear her. No one even bothered to turn around. The village chief reached into the layers of his oversized robe, pulled out a key, and opened a small door at the back. Giai Giai trailed behind them and stepped inside. Behind that tiny door was a workshop. In a dark red pool of water, incense sticks were soaking, and a strong, pungent smell filled the air. Several large cauldrons billowed smoke, and chunks of meat were thrown into the pots, boiling furiously. Suddenly, the person in black in front turned around, pulling down their veil. Their fair skin and gentle phoenix eyes were identical to Giai Giai's mother, who had passed away 8 years ago. Suddenly, her mother collapsed, a pool of fresh red blood spreading beneath her. The men in the workshop all stopped their work, their sharp gazes fixed on Giai Giai. Their eyes gleamed with fanaticism, and they advanced with knives in hand. "Immortal paper, the most beautiful immortal paper." Giai Giai wanted to run, but her legs turned to jelly. She could only watch as the village chief raised his knife and brought it down on her. Giai Giai jolted awake, leaning against the pillar, her face pale, cold sweat soaking her back. She looked at the small, tightly shut door. Behind that rotten wooden door lay a horrifying secret she had been completely unaware of. Like a soulless wanderer, she fled from the paper goddess's temple. The days of milk baths, confinement, and sun avoidance for jade-white skin, none of the paper maidens who entered the temple ever returned. The village chief claimed paper maidens served the paper goddess for life, but why was the workshop filled only with men, not a single woman? On her way home, the more she thought, the more terrified she became. She seemed to understand the origin of the immortal paper. The elaborate upbringing of daughters was, in fact, preparation for the day they would be sacrificed. The more beautiful a girl, the more perfect her body became as an offering. No wonder everyone called Kieu Kieu the most beautiful paper maiden. They weren't praising her looks, but her skin. "I'm ugly, no one pays attention to me. After college entrance exams next year, I won't come back," Giai Giai thought. But Kieu Kieu couldn't escape. In just 10 days, the Paper Maiden's coming of age would enter the Paper Goddess's temple. Her mother was dead. Giai Giai couldn't let her sister die. She had to help Kieu Kieu escape. Giai Giai burst into Kieu Kieu's room. Before she could catch her breath, she blurted out, panicked, "Sister, immortal paper is made from human bodies. Grandma and everyone want to turn you into immortal paper." Kieu Kieu touched Giai Giai's face, pressed her lips together, crying silently. "Giai Giai, you found out, haven't you?" She pulled a crumpled wad of small bills from under her pillow and pressed them into Giai Giai's hand. "Take this money and never come back. Listen to me." Giai Giai stared blankly at her sister, explaining everything she had seen in her dream at the Paper Goddess's temple. Kieu Kieu's eyes reddened, and she sighed. "If we don't run now, it'll be too late. The Paper Maiden the Paper Goddess truly wants isn't me, it's you." Giai Giai stood rooted to the spot, her mind blank. How could someone as ugly as me be noticed by the Paper Goddess? Kieu Kieu rolled up her sleeve, revealing a horrifying, dark purple bruise on her fair wrist. Paper Maidens chosen by the Paper Goddess all have a pink mark on their wrists, but the most beautiful one chosen by her, Kieu Kieu paused, her voice thick with fear, will have a blue-purple mark. Giai Giai was completely stunned. "So, the Paper Goddess chose you?" Kieu Kieu choked up. "No, this is a deal between me and her. The Paper Goddess needs a body and skin that matches her birth date to revive. My sister and I are twins, but our birth dates are a day apart. Kieu Kieu was born on June 15th, while I was born in the early hours of June 16th. And June 16th is the Paper Goddess's birthday. That year, when our mother died, I fell gravely ill. By the time I recovered from the fever, Mother had already been buried, and I had forgotten many things." Kieu Kieu's eyes flashed with hatred as she recalled the past. Mother was a university student, abducted and brought to the village while volunteering to teach. She was locked in a shed, forced to bear older brother and us two sisters. When I was 8, Mother led older brother and us in an escape, but we were caught. It was Father's own hand that harmed Mother, turning her into an offering for the Paper Goddess. Her offerings required not only human flesh but also souls. The crunching sound echoed, and Mother's body was devoured by the paintings. We two sisters hid under the altar, witnessing everything. You fell gravely ill from overwhelming fear. A faint image of her mother flickered in Giai Giai's mind. She had said she would take them away from this place. Giai Giai remembered how, after her mother's death, older brother had scoffed, "That foolish woman wasn't worthy of being my mother. A family traitor deserves to die." Luckily, I was smart and told Father she was planning to escape, so she was caught. Giai Giai clearly remembered Father dying under the pagoda tree in front of the Paper Goddess's temple, his body hacked into pieces, dying a gruesome death. "Sister, did you make a deal with the Paper Goddess to harm Father?" Kieu Kieu nodded. "But she wants to seize your body. I told her I was also born at the hour of the rat, just minutes from her own birth date, and she could fully possess my body to revive. But how can a demon's words be trusted? I knew she wouldn't give up on you. I could only make you not become a Paper Maiden, make you ugly. That way, Grandma and everyone wouldn't sacrifice you to her. Giai Giai, run away. I'm afraid the Paper Goddess will change her mind. You are my sister, and I promised Mother I would protect you." Giai Giai gripped Kieu Kieu's hand, her eyes firm. "No, sister, we'll escape together." Bang, the door was kicked open. The stout village chief led a group of men, ropes and knives in hand, a cruel smile on his face. "Trying to escape? I didn't expect to have extra human flesh offerings before the Paper Goddess's birthday. This year's Immortal Paper ceremony will surely be the most perfect." Older brother's eyes were icy. "I thought you were obedient. Just go to university and bring me back a student wife, and I might have spared you. Who knew you'd be just like that crazy old woman from back then?" Kieu Kieu pulled Giai Giai behind her, a cold laugh escaping her lips. "If any of you dare to touch Giai Giai, I'll disfigure myself and commit suicide. Don't forget, I'm the Paper Maiden who pleases the Paper Goddess most. If I die, do you think she'll spare you? Do you still dream of perfect immortal paper this year?" Hearing this, the village chief looked displeased but forced a smile, attempting to negotiate. "Kieu Kieu, I know you care for your sister." Just then, Grandma, like a madwoman, lunged forward with a knife. "You bastard! How dare you obstruct my grandson from getting a wife? I'll kill you now." Giai Giai raised her arm, revealing the purple bruise on her wrist. "Grandma, I'm also the Paper Maiden most favored by the Paper Goddess." Grandma froze, knife raised. Giai Giai slowly walked towards her, a half-smile playing on her lips. "Come on, kill me, unless you want your precious grandson to die a gruesome death. Grandma's eyes widened, full of suspicion as she stared at Giai Giai. The village chief looked at the mark on Giai Giai's wrist, sternly questioning Grandma. Your family raised 2 paper maidens, why did you only report one? Grandma crumpled to the ground. Village chief, I didn't know. The village chief grumbled. From now on, you must take good care of Giai Giai. For the paper goddess's birthday ceremony this year, take Kieu Kieu first. Next year, when Giai Giai is more beautiful, she will be brought to the temple. Kieu Kieu suddenly became gentle again. Thank you, village chief. Giai Giai and I will surely serve the paper goddess thoroughly. Satisfied with Kieu Kieu's attitude, the village chief led his men out of the room. Grandma's icy gaze landed on Giai Giai, instinctively raising her bamboo cane to strike. How dare you hide this? Giai Giai deftly evaded, her voice urgent. Grandma, I'm a paper maiden now. Hitting me will leave scars. Hearing this, Grandma furiously smashed a glass of water, clutching her chest and breathing heavily. That night, Giai Giai was allowed to eat meat. Having not touched fatty food for so long, eating too much made her stomach churn uncomfortably. Well past midnight, she tossed and turned in bed, rubbing her sore abdomen. Creak, the soft sound of a door opening. She gently pushed open her window and looked out into the yard. Kieu Kieu, holding an umbrella, pushed open the gate and stepped outside. What is sister doing? Why didn't she call me? Giai Giai tiptoed after her, astonished to find Kieu Kieu's destination was the paper goddess's temple. The temple, in the dead of night, was even more ominous, a black mass like a giant beast lurking in the shadows, ready to devour anyone. Kieu Kieu pushed the door open, lit 2 white candles, and stuck dark red incense sticks into the censer. Why is she worshipping the paper goddess in the middle of the night? Giai Giai hid outside the door, watching Kieu Kieu use a knife to cut her finger and drip blood into the censer. Soon, the familiar herbal scent filled the entire temple. Xiao Yang, you broke your promise. Xiao Yang? Is that the paper goddess's real name? Kieu Kieu seemed very familiar with this goddess. The incense flickered. A woman, fanning herself with a paper fan, stepped out of the darkness. Your sister brought this upon herself. The offering today carried the scent of her blood. So that's it. During the day, when Kieu Kieu confronted the village chief, Giai Giai had suddenly noticed the purple bruise on her own wrist. She had thought, as Kieu Kieu said, that the paper goddess had changed her mind and wanted Giai Giai to be a paper maiden. It turned out Giai Giai had brought it upon herself. What a fool! The paper goddess had absorbed the offering containing Giai Giai's blood and would naturally seize the opportunity to turn her into a paper maiden. Indeed, a perfect body. Even her blood smells purer than yours. Kieu Kieu sneered. Don't forget, if it weren't for my blood nourishing you for 8 years, you would still be a lingering, decaying ghost trapped in that painting, unable to even maintain human form. Human form. Giai Giai stared intently at Xiao Yang. Xiao Yang turned her back, fanning herself with the paper fan, her graceful figure appearing and disappearing. Suddenly, Xiao Yang's head spun 360 degrees. Beneath her elaborate bun was an empty void. Am I beautiful? Giai Giai's scalp tingled, her heart almost stopped. The flashlight in her hand dropped to the ground with a resounding asterisk clatter. Giai Giai, Kieu Kieu turned, intending to run to her sister's aid, but Xiao Yang was faster, grabbing Giai Giai tightly. Born at the hour of the rat on June 16th, exactly matching my birth date. Xiao Yang extended an icy finger, meticulously tracing the contours of Giai Giai's face. You resemble me greatly in life. Indeed, you are the reincarnated body from my 3 souls and 7 spirits. Xiao Yang continued to mumble to herself. Originally, she wasn't the paper goddess at all. She was merely a fragmented soul lingering in a painting made of human skin. During the Ming Dynasty, eunuchs seized power, and cruel punishments were rampant. The Eastern Depot was most skilled in flaying skin. The master of the Eastern Depot was obsessed with collecting strange treasures. To acquire the human skin painting, he sent people everywhere to find beautiful women. Xiao Yang was originally a courtesan offered by her master to the Eastern Depot to be made into a painting. The failed skin canvases were all burned in fire. Only Xiao Yang's skin succeeded due to her intense resentment. A fragment of her soul became trapped within the painting. Many years ago, an ancient tomb was robbed, and the antique painting found its way to the village. The village shaman woman, wanting to control spirits and accumulate wealth, deliberately spread rumors that the painting had the power to attract fortune. She made the villagers soak the painting in fresh blood for 49 days, then offer incense and worship it daily. Xiao Niang's resentment was already extremely heavy, and nourished by fresh blood, she transformed into a vengeful ghost, devouring the shaman woman alive. Once was enough. Xiao Niang wanted to revive. Revival required mending her fragmented soul. So, she sent dreams to the village chief, telling him that human skin paper was valuable, and human skin paintings were even more potent for attracting wealth, enchanting the villagers to build a temple for the paper goddess. Every girl sacrificed, both her living soul and body, was devoured by her. Cultivating for so many years, she only waited for one opportunity. And Giai Giai, the girl with an identical birth chart, reincarnated from her 3 souls, was that very opportunity. After hearing Xiao Niang's story, Giai Giai felt both pity for her fate and indignation for the girls in the village. Xiao Niang had died unjustly, but why did she selfishly take the lives of so many girls? Her life was a life, weren't theirs too? Xiao Niang seemed to hear something amusing. Humans are inherently selfish, and spirits are no exception. I never said human skin paper was only made from women. These ignorant, greedy villagers, who revere men and scorn women, are willing to kill their own daughters for money. Those girls should thank me. If it weren't to become immortal paper, in this male-dominated village, they would have been drowned in a bucket of water the moment they were born. Becoming a paper maiden at least allowed them to enjoy 18 years of joyful life. Giai Giai fell silent. Xiao Niang was not wrong. In a place where men were revered and women scorned, being born a girl was a sin. Just like the night Giai Giai wasn't chosen by the paper goddess, Grandma had wanted to beat her to death. Giai Giai asked Xiao Niang with an impassive face, "What kind of deal did my sister make with you?" Xiao Niang fanned herself with a silk fan, her eyes darting between the 2 sisters. "I didn't expect you two to have such deep sisterly affection. Your sister said she would offer her body to me in exchange for me punishing your grandma and older brother. So, you want me to spare your sister?" Giai Giai nodded, pulled out a small knife, cut her finger, and dripped blood into the censer. "Spare my sister and the Paper Maidens this year, and I will offer myself to you, both soul and body." Xiao Niang bent down, inhaling the swirling smoke, her voice full of delight. "All right, what else do you want? Let's punish the rest of the villagers who participated in making human skin paper." Giai Giai turned back to look at the village, shrouded in darkness outside the temple, her voice icy. "Of course, my sister and I are going home." Kieu Kieu frowned deeply, her lips pressed tight. All the way home, she didn't say a single word to Giai Giai. Once home, she still kept her back turned. "I don't need your rescue, and those paper maidens don't need your excessive kindness either." Hearing Kieu Kieu's words, Giai Giai's nose stung and her throat tightened. "Sister, if you hadn't made me use chicken blood that year, I wouldn't have gone to school. Every time I saw you secretly looking at my textbooks, my heart ached. From childhood to adulthood, you've always been smarter than me. I've seen the outside world, and I want you to see it too. You can live under my identity, go to school, go to university, and leave this mountain forever." Kieu Kieu was silent for a long time. "Giai Giai, I'm going to my room first. Just 10 more days and you'll be free." "Yes." Giai Giai smiled, then cried, her voice faint. "Just 10 more days until I'm free." At scorching midday, every house was closed for a siesta. Grandma and older brother were asleep, but Giai Giai tossed and turned, flipping through a textbook in her hands. "After this summer, sister will take my place at school. My handwriting is so bad. I wonder if she'll laugh at me. She surely will." The simple study desk was placed right by the window. Giai Giai turned page after page. "Just 3 more days, and I won't see them anymore." Just then, she saw Kieu Kieu leave the house with an umbrella. These past few days, Kieu Kieu seemed to go somewhere every midday, always carrying a black cloth bag. Taking advantage of Kieu Kieu's absence, Giai Giai sneaked into her room. Since returning from the paper goddess's temple, Kieu Kieu hadn't allowed her near her room. Giai Giai only saw her sister at mealtimes. Kieu Kieu's hands were growing colder by the day, her complexion paler, and the herbal scent on her body grew stronger, exactly like the scent in the paper goddess's temple. Giai Giai asked anxiously, "Sister, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" Kieu Kieu said she was fine, telling Giai Giai to remember to drink water. Every midday, right when the sun was most intense, Kieu Kieu would bring Giai Giai a glass of water from her room and watch her drink it all. How strange. Giai Giai didn't dare touch Kieu Kieu's belongings, only glancing around the room. Suddenly, she noticed a book placed under Kieu Kieu's pillow. The book was filled with strange symbols, like incantations. She only recognized a few words in it. A day before entering the temple, the village chief announced to the households that Paper Maidens could temporarily go outside. The village chief told Grandma to release Giai Giai, as the paper goddess had sent a dream, saying this year's Paper Maidens in the temple asterisk must include Giai Giai. After 8 years apart, Giai Giai met her childhood friends again, each one fair and beautiful. The Paper Maidens gathered, comparing who was the fairest. We're all as white as jade. Surely the paper goddess will love us and make the most perfect immortal paper. How could Giai Giai, so dark and ugly, also become a paper maiden? Giai Giai couldn't help but blurt out, "Have you never wondered where the former paper maidens went? Why did they all disappear after entering the paper goddess's temple?" Her cousin from next door scoffed. "Fool, they all went to serve the paper goddess. Once you enter the temple, you serve for life." Giai Giai shook her head. "They're all dead." The other paper maidens' faces changed. "That can't be true," Kieu Kieu interjected at the right moment. "That's right. What you call immortal paper is all made from human skin." The girls looked at each other, their eyes filled with horror. Just as Giai Giai was about to tell everyone to run, her cousin cut her off. "So what? Didn't our families tell everyone? Serving the paper goddess means becoming an immortal. Historically, to become an immortal, you have to leave your mortal body behind. Our families raised us for 18 years in comfort. Before becoming immortals, shouldn't we repay their kindness? Immortal paper, of course, has to be made from immortal skin." Having said that, her cousin looked at Giai Giai triumphantly. "Giai Giai, aren't you just trying to scare us because you want to become an immortal first?" The paper maidens echoed in unison. "Ugly people always play tricks, so selfish." They thought about becoming immortals, their hearts pounding wildly. "I'll definitely be the most beautiful fairy," Giai Giai tried to argue, but Kieu Kieu pulled her away. "I told you they won't appreciate your kindness." Kieu Kieu sighed. "Brainwashed since childhood, no education, immersed in their families' dreams of becoming immortals. You can't save them." Giai Giai smiled reassuringly. "It's okay, I can still save you." Walking ahead of Kieu Kieu, Giai Giai didn't see the sorrowful gaze of the person behind her. "Giai Giai, you can't save me either." June 16th, the auspicious hour of the rat for the sacrifice. The entire village fell silent, not a breath of wind. A full moon shone a strange, pale light through the clouds. The village chief led the entire village, packed tightly before the pitch-black entrance of the paper goddess's temple. 10 paper maidens stood in the front row, followed by the village chief and the village men, and finally, the women and elders. The village chief loudly recited the sacrificial text. "Today, we celebrate the paper goddess's longevity, humbly offering 10 paper maidens, begging your grace to bless the villagers with peace and prosperity." He used a willow branch dipped in water to dot the forehead of each paper maiden, chanting, "Immortal paper, granted by immortals, may the paper goddess be pleased and bestow upon the villagers the most beautiful immortal paper." At the end of the ceremony, the men lit the dark red incense sticks and entered the temple one by one. The women and children waited under the old pagoda tree. The girls pricked their fingers, dripping 3 drops of blood into white porcelain bowls. 1 drop, 2 drops, 3 drops. The blood of 10 people mixed together. The village chief used a brush to sweep it onto the ancient painting. In a flash, the ancient painting absorbed all the fresh blood. The village chief cackled. "The painting is purified, let the crafting begin." The men split into 2 groups. One led the way to the back of the temple, the other pressed close behind the girls to prevent their escape. Giai Giai was at the end of the line, looking up at the painting of the beauty-admiring flowers on the wall, whispering, "Xiao Yang, please don't break your promise." The fairy in the ancient painting fanned herself with a silk fan, smiling at Giai Giai. The fairy's face was exactly like hers. The moment they passed through the small gate, the smile on the village chief's face instantly vanished, replaced by a greedy gaze fixed on them. "Tie them up tightly, begin the ritual." The men pulled out ropes, binding their hands tightly, herding the girls into a corner of the workshop. Under the bright lights, everything was horrifyingly clear, as if in broad daylight. Her cousin was dragged first, her face flushed, joyful as if about to receive heavenly blessings. "Just wait, I'll be the first to become a fairy." The cousin was tied tightly onto a flat stone slab, beneath which glowing incense sticks smoldered. The large cauldron next to it was already lit, flames leaping fiercely from its mouth. Kieu Kieu whispered, "Immortal paper is made from living human bodies. The skin is cleansed, soaked in a special type of fat for 49 days, then hung on a drying rack. This time of year annually is when incense is offered to the paper goddess. Ordinary incense sticks are dropped into the pool, and the blood flowing from the sacrificed people soaks into them. When the paper maiden's blood runs dry, their bodies are processed to be cooked into fat. Hearing Kieu Kieu's explanation, the paper maidens broke into sobs. "No, I don't want to die. I don't want to be a fairy anymore. Please save me. Kieu Kieu, isn't there any way you can save us?" Kieu Kieu replied coldly. "No." Screams erupted as they descended into utter panic. "Please, uncles, spare our lives. Uncles, please spare us." Old Fourth bared his yellowed teeth, using a rag to gag the girls, a familiar gesture. "Spare you? My son is waiting for bride money." His eyes looked at them no differently than livestock in a pen. "If immortal paper didn't require live sacrifice, I would have killed you long ago. Such loud mouths." Her cousin's scream echoed through the workshop. The village chief held a sharp knife, slowly beginning the ritual on her body. Giai Giai squeezed her eyes shut, silently praying, "Xiao Niang, do as you promised. Kill them all, everything will end." "Sister Xiao Niang?" Kieu Kieu had somehow unbound herself. She gently patted Giai Giai's back. "Don't be afraid, I'm here." Kieu Kieu stood in the dark corner, her fingers forming repeated seals, her mouth muttering a strange incantation. "Vengeful spirit Xiao Niang, why haven't you shown your true form yet?" As soon as the words left her lips, the air around the workshop suddenly grew cold and heavy. Crackle, crackle, one by one the lights shattered, plunging the entire workshop into darkness. The village chief's terrified screams rang out. "Who's doing this? What's happening?" Flashlight beams flickered erratically as the men with knives probed their surroundings. The paper maidens huddled together, sobbing uncontrollably. The ghostly full moon slipped behind the clouds, its pale light vanishing into the endless night. Screams tore through the air, the atmosphere thick with a suffocating stench of blood. The lights flickered back on, revealing a gruesome scene, mutilated body parts strewn everywhere. Xiao Niang fanned herself with a silk fan, her face eerily similar to Giai Giai's. She writhed her graceful body, her crimson lips curving into a mocking smile. "Kill them all." She toyed with her blood-stained nails. "They were my worshippers, after all. What a pity. Giai Giai, it's your turn to fulfill your promise." Kieu Kieu stepped forward, shielding Giai Giai. "Never." Suddenly, icy winds swirled through the room. Xiao Niang's eyes changed, the smile vanishing from her face, leaving only a terrifying, sinister expression. "Whoever hinders my revival shall all die." Giai Giai gripped Kieu Kieu's hand. "Sister." Kieu Kieu gave Giai Giai a talisman. "Giai Giai, find a place to hide." The workshop was filled with corpses. Giai Giai carefully dodged them, running straight to the back of the temple and hiding behind the door. Seeing Giai Giai flee, Xiao Niang immediately tried to stop her. Kieu Kieu murmured an incantation, and the dismembered bodies on the ground suddenly rose, lunging towards Xiao Niang. Xiao Niang's face contorted grotesquely, her entire body soaked in blood, her skull twisted abnormally, eyes rolled back to reveal empty, vacant whites, staring dully at Kieu Kieu. "You're also a woman. I shouldn't have let you live all those years ago, Lu Kieu. Do you think you can destroy me? Even your mother couldn't kill me. Who are you?" Kieu Kieu skillfully formed a hand seal, her voice calm. "My mother was too naive. She thought simply killing you would awaken the villagers. What was the outcome? She died at the hands of her own son, and the villagers she wanted to save carved her body into pieces. Now, I'll use your hand to kill them all, considering it repayment for my mother." "I don't intend to kill you. The Shu witchcraft art is skilled in controlling spirits and demons. I will subdue you and make you my slave forever." Giai Giai's heart churned. She suddenly remembered the books in Kieu Kieu's room. She also never expected her mother hadn't been kidnapped. Her mother had voluntarily entered the village, lying in wait for years just to subdue Xiao Niang. Giai Giai suddenly remembered her mother always praising Kieu Kieu's talent when they were little. Kieu Kieu was truly intelligent. After their mother died, she diligently studied witchcraft. Hearing Kieu Kieu's words, Xiao Niang furiously lunged. "Impossible!" Kieu Kieu slashed her finger, fresh blood gushing out, activating a spell. A dense black mist rose around them. Xiao Niang was enveloped by the black mist, letting out fierce, desperate screams. "To subdue you, I've been preparing for 8 years. All these years, every day, I've applied corpse fat all over my body, staying out of the sunlight, turning myself into a person of extreme yin. Then I used fresh blood to nourish you. Your body contains my blood. You can only accept me as your master." Xiao Niang writhed in the black mist, her voice guttural. I have a century of cultivation. Today, even if I die, I'll drag Lu Giai down with me. Watching Kieu Kieu and Xiao Niang fight, Giai Giai, hearing that, immediately tried to run. A faceless, blood-soaked monster erupted from the black mist, charging directly at Giai Giai. Giai Giai, Kieu Kieu screamed, lunging forward. Giai Giai instinctively raised her arm to block, feeling a chilling current pierce through her head. Something invaded her body, her limbs no longer obeyed her control. A horrifying premonition flashed in her mind. Xiao Niang wanted to forcibly possess her body. Her body ached as if being torn apart, her strength rapidly draining. Am I dying? AH. Xiao Niang was forced out of Giai Giai's body, her eyes filled with disbelief. Impossible. Her birth chart matches mine, and she's my reincarnation. Why? Kieu Kieu wiped a streak of blood from her face, her eyes filled with murderous intent. Giai Giai has been drinking pure yang water for 10 days, purifying all yin energy long ago. So, this was the effect of the water Kieu Kieu had made her drink every midday. Xiao Niang lay weakly on the ground, no longer possessing a beautiful body, just a mass of red flesh. She no longer struggled, her voice weak. I surrender to you. Please spare me. Kieu Kieu smiled with satisfaction, stepping closer to Xiao Niang. Everything is about to end. Kieu Kieu dripped blood onto Xiao Niang's body and began to chant. For some reason, a sense of unease welled up in Giai Giai's heart. Just as Kieu Kieu formed another hand seal, Xiao Niang, who was on her last breath, suddenly flipped over, stood up, and bit Kieu Kieu's arm fiercely. Let's die together. Kieu Kieu's face turned pale. She slapped a talisman onto Xiao Niang's body. Black smoke billowed from Xiao Niang, but she still refused to let go. Kieu Kieu screamed at Giai Giai. Giai Giai, burn the painting. Hurry! Giai Giai staggered to her feet, gritting her teeth and running towards the temple altar. She tore down the ancient painting and immediately set it on fire. The ancient painting crackled and popped. Xiao Niang's face showed panic and resentment. No, I must be revived. I've waited for hundreds of years. It can't be. Xiao Niang's body gradually dissolved into thin blood. An ominous smile appeared on her face. I surrender to you, master. Bury yourself with me. Having said that, Xiao Niang transformed into a wisp of black smoke and drilled straight into Kieu Kieu's chest. Kieu Kieu leaned against a pillar, her bitten arm continuously oozing black blood. Giai Giai hurriedly tore a strip of her shirt to bandage her sister. Kieu Kieu pressed Giai Giai's hand down. Don't waste your effort. The malevolent energy has invaded my body. The wound cannot heal. I can only bleed to death. Kieu Kieu's lips were completely pale. Giai Giai desperately wrapped torn cloth around Kieu Kieu's arm, but black blood soaked through the fabric, flowing out ceaselessly. Her body trembled, her throat tight with unspeakable words, tears flowing endlessly. Sister, no, there must be a way to save you. Didn't you know witchcraft? You'll be fine, you'll definitely be fine. Kieu Kieu's breath was weak, her voice thin as a thread. Giai Giai, use my body to make immortal paper, following the methods in the witchcraft book. After saying this, Kieu Kieu fell silent. Giai Giai embraced her sister's body, crying until she choked. She hated Immortal Paper, she hated Paper Maidens, she hated the cannibalistic customs of this village. It was all her fault for implicating her sister. If it weren't for Giai Giai, Kieu Kieu could have focused entirely on Xiao Niang and wouldn't have lost her life. I must save her, Giai Giai thought. If Xiao Niang could live, my sister definitely can too. Giai Giai struggled to support Kieu Kieu's body, stepping over countless scattered corpses in the workshop, reaching the flat stone slab. Blood stained her hands red. She worked tirelessly, making immortal paper. She brought Kieu Kieu's body home, processing everything according to the methods in the witchcraft book. The horizon glowed with a brilliant red sunrise. The morning sun shone down on the paper goddess's temple, both inside and out, revealing only corpses and blood. The entire village was eerily silent, everyone was dead. Good, burn it all, burn everything. Watching the paper goddess's temple blaze in a sea of fire, Giai Giai felt a strange satisfaction. All of you must be buried with my sister. People from other villages came to put out the fire, finding Giai Giai under the old pagoda tree at the paper goddess's temple. Her entire body was covered in blood. Seeing the firefighters, she burst into sobs. Help! Help! The village chief, he saved me from the fire and got badly burned. A man stepped forward to examine the charred body next to Giai Giai, shaking his head regretfully. Giai Giai was taken to the hospital with the police. Giai Giai, do you remember what happened that night? She gripped the police officer's hand in terror. Blood, all blood, the paper goddess manifested, the paper goddess manifested. The police thoroughly investigated the village's situation. Giai Giai was the only survivor. How tragic! Yesterday was the paper goddess's birthday. The whole village must have gone to the temple to worship. My daughter, who married into the Immortal Paper village, also died. I thought marrying into the Immortal Paper family would be good fortune, but who knew? After investigation, what was called Immortal Paper was actually paper made from human skin. Among the ashes and debris of the paper goddess's temple, incomplete skeletons of the entire village were found. This case could not be explained by ordinary logic and became a mysterious, unsolved case. Everyone believed it was divine retribution, and no one dared to set foot in the Immortal Paper village again. The desolate village became a ghost village. After half a year of psychological therapy, with the help of the police, Giai Giai returned to school. Giai Giai, do you still not remember what happened that night? She shook her head lifelessly. I don't know anymore. I think I've forgotten everything. The police officer patted her shoulder, sighing. Well, start a new life, child. My boyfriend is an artist. This year, his studio was struggling. Buyers were few and far between. That day, he brought home a dark red wooden box, its exterior damp and reeking of fish. Opening the box, inside was an ancient painting and a bundle of red incense. My love, this is a treasure I bought at a sky-high price, an ancient painting that attracts wealth. With this, we'll prosper. Kieu Kieu and excitedly unrolled the painting. The colors had faded, the images blurry, seemingly a painting of a beauty leaning on a railing. He told me I absolutely had to burn incense and worship it daily. One day, I went to the studio to pick up my boyfriend, unexpectedly seeing him walking closely with a girl. I hid under the stairs, eavesdropping. Once I finish this human skin painting for Mr. Lin, I'll marry you. Don't worry, I've already raised a paper maiden. There's no better paper than that made from the girls of the Immortal Paper village. The girl and my boyfriend hugged tightly. I recognized her. He had introduced her as his cousin. It turned out she was my boyfriend's lover and also Miss Lin from the Lin family. I remembered her birthday was June 15th. A faint smile played on my lips. Sister, your time has come.